What is a number line? And so a number line is a line. It's almost like a ruler. Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been a math and science teacher for 20 years. I'm here to make math engaging and fun and not so scary. If you're interested in-person tutoring, Zoom tutoring, or micro tutoring through Cameo, click the link and do the stuff. So with a number line, like I said, it's sort of like a ruler. So you usually have got this line. Typically they're shown with 0 in the middle. And so you've got 0 in the middle, and anything to the right is going to be positive, and anything to the left is going to be negative. And they're usually, evenly spaced out, of course, just like a ruler, right? And I'm drawing this freehand. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've got -1, -2, and -3. So the reason I have this up in my classroom is because when you're talking about adding or subtracting negatives, positive, things like that, especially in like the lower high school grades, so 9th and 10th grade, which is where I primarily teach, there are still a lot of students, and some of you may be feeling like this too, that are struggling with understanding like, why are numbers negative? How do you know if it's a negative? And so something like if you have, if I looked at something like 2 minus 3, right? So 2 minus 3 means I start at 2 and then I subtract 3. Well, subtraction goes this way, okay? Subtraction is going to the left. Now, when you're adding and subtracting on a number line, this is where it gets a little bit weird, because this is one way to talk about adding, subtracting positives and negatives. But what we can also talk about is like having the 0 pairs. We can talk about, using manipulatives, and we got into that a little bit last week. But when you're using the number line for adding and subtracting, if you're adding, which means that you're like increasing it, you're going to be moving to the right. If you're subtracting, which is decreasing it, you're going to be moving to the left. Now, the thing that changes is a negative sign, which is different from subtraction when you're talking about this way. When there's a negative sign, that reverses the direction. So 2 minus 3. So that means that I'm going to start at 2. So I'm going to start here. And then since I'm subtracting goes to the left 3 spots. So 1, 2, 3. So I end up at -1. It's mathed up. Okay. So let's say I have 2 plus -3. So remember, now we've got addition is to the right, but that negative sign reverses it. So 2 plus -3, the negative sign reverses it. So I'm not actually going to go to the right 3 spots. I'm going to go to the left 3 spots. So I'm still going to start at 2, and I'm going to add -3, which means like I'm not going right, I'm going to go left 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. So it's -1. Now what that shows the kids also, or it shows you, is that 2 minus 3 is the same thing as 2 plus -3. So this is just 2 different ways of kind of explaining that. So you can do this with the number line where you're talking about, okay, well, if you're adding to the right, but a negative is going to flip it. So the same thing if you had, do another color. If I had, I'm running out of colors. If I had 1 minus -2. So 1 minus -2. So if I'm subtracting, I would be going to the left, but it's a negative, so that's going to reverse my direction. Okay, so I start at 1. And then I'm going to subtract -2. So I'm not going to go to the left. That negative flips my direction. So I'm going to go to the right 2 spots. So that equals 3. So again, it shows everybody that, 1 minus -2 is actually the same thing as 1 plus 2. Okay. So again, showing all those different ways of thinking about these things, something is going to start to stick. Or I guess hopefully something is going to start to stick, right? So things will start making sense. A lot of times you have to see these things in lots and lots and lots of different ways, okay? So what I like to do is have a lot of tools at my disposal, like a number line, like manipulatives, like diagrams, like all these different things, so I can show the students a lot of different ways to think about the same thing, so something's going to stick.